Nvidia is currently 193 bucks a share, and I think it could gun for 300 a share in 2026. Now, before I get into the video, guys, I'm not gonna have a face cam for this one because I actually have to go to Best Buy, get a new camera because this one broke, it busted, it exploded. So I have to go get a new camera. Next video, I'll be back with the face cam, the leather jacket, the Nvidia shirt, the chain, the shades, the hat, the swag, right? So like I was saying, Nvidia's at 193, and I think it could go for 300 a share in 2026. Now I'm gonna talk about some of the fundamentals right quick, and then I'll talk about the charts. Normally I do it inverse, but Nvidia's a company that I'm very passionate about. One of the very few. There's only like two that I'm actually passionate about. Nvidia's one of them. And disclaimer, I do not own any Nvidia shares. I'm only in Tesla, 300 Tesla shares, and in Meta, 200 Meta shares. Those are the only two companies I'm in right now. One is a long, one I'm in for a nice swing, all right? So Nvidia is a company that I used to own, so, right? I've been following it since it was 20 bucks. It was 200 bucks back then, but technically now speaking, Nvidia, I've been following it since it was 20 bucks, and it's at 200 bucks a share now. That's almost like a whole 10x. Right? I've seen it go up 10x. I've seen it go up 1,500%, even more. I don't know, right? The percentage gain is crazy. So this is a chart of Nvidia's earnings, and let's get on the same page right quick. Down here, you see 2026, how it shows data. Nvidia does their earnings 1 year ahead. So this is really 2025, this is 2024, and this is 2023. The years that Nvidia has been hot. Because if you go back 2022, 2021, 2020, you're going to see their revenue was flat. Their revenues would stall out around 5 billion, 6 billion, 7 billion. And then ChatGPT came out. That's when the generative AI era really began. That's when everybody realized chips is what's going to be needed. Data centers, compute power, processing power. That's what you're going to really need for Nvidia. So that was around November, December 2022. Only thing is the market was at its lows around then. I'm talking about 2022. The whole market had crashed, like all the stocks 40, 50%. The indexes were down like 30%. So it was bad, 2022. And this was just now starting the bull market, coming out of the recovery. And Nvidia is the one that led. Then came 2023, which is here, 2024, but it's 2023. May 2023 was the breakout earnings, the historic earnings. I actually bought that day. Their revenues came in at 13 billion, 100% year over year. Next quarter, it came in at 18 billion. No, yeah, it was 13 billion, then 18 billion, 22 billion, 28 billion, 32 billion. This is when I sold out. This was Nvidia when they did their split, like June 2024. Here it says 25. This is when they did their split. It got to 1,200 bucks a share. I sold a week later. It kept going up at 130, which would be 1,300. I sold. I dipped. I said no mas. Looking back, what I really should have done is what I'm gonna do with Meta, which is take out my initial capital and leave the house money remaining, because Nvidia is a phenomenal company. This is not gonna stop. This is insane. Some call it a bubble. I say, look at the chart, look at these revenues. Then came what? It was like 36 billion. I don't even know at this point. They're like around 40 something billion, going for 50 billion. And mind you, they're not selling in China right now. Look at this news. Nvidia news. Trump says he will freeze China Blackwell AI chip sales, billions in revenues at risk. So technically, they haven't been selling in China, and this has been going on for months. It's not anything new. Nvidia has not been selling in China for months. So that's already been affecting the bottom line, top line. They're, not by a lot, probably like what? Some 5-8 billion, I don't know. But on percentage terms, I'm not sure what it is. So it could be a little more, probably 15 billion, I think the report's even set up to. So right here, let's read this real quick. President Donald Trump said Nvidia's most advanced AI chips would be reserved for U.S. companies and not sold to China or other nations, right? So he's trying to, basically, they're not able to sell Blackwells to China right now. They have like lower edge chips that I think they are selling, which they talk about here. The comments point towards tighter controls on exports of cutting edge AI semiconductors, a move that could reshape global supply chains, right? So technically, Trump is using this as leverage, right? He's using the AI chips as leverage. Who gets caught in the middle? It's Nvidia's revenues. Is it gonna matter? Bro, Nvidia's so dominant. I don't think it's gonna matter, bro. They sell so much of these chips. They get so much in revenues just from these other nations that they are selling to and in the US. that is insane. So, is there anything to be worried about? No. Geopolitical things, yes. Like, could there be a recession? Could the rates go crazy? I mean, I don't know. You know, we're about to get QE. The QT is about to stop. So if we go into QE, the market's probably just gonna keep going higher. Let me bring up the chart now. So if we get QE, go into a phase of more money, lower rates, a cycle like that could last a few more years, that's gonna be a boom. I don't know. I'm not a market expert. I'm just some guy on YouTube. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. But what do I know, right? So if we go into QE, more money printing, lower rates, that's more money for equities, aka stocks, more money for houses, real estate, more money for the economy, more money for companies, right? I think it could be a boom, 26 or 27. Some think it's going to be a crash, but hey, some always say the market's going to crash every year. And technically this year, the SPY went down to like 22%. So, and NASDAQ was down 30, which it could have gotten worse, but that was the tariff fears. So now let's talk about some of the technicals for Nvidia, which we spoke some of the fundamentals. I'm a fundamental guy. I love the fundamentals, but the technicals, you have to see them sometimes. We're sitting up here. Now, this looks scary. You're going to look at this chart and be like, what the hell is this? This is a straight line up. And technically, it is. Yes, it is a straight line up. This is NVIDIA's monthly. This is what it's done the last few years. We're right here around 190. The highest it's been is 212. But like I told you, it was down here. A few years ago, 2022 at the lows, it was $10. I started following it here, March, January, around $20. It was already $200. So this is when I've been following Nvidia since down here at $20. It exploded. I told you this was the day it went from 300 to 400. Now you're gonna see here. Look to your right. It was around 30. Really, it was around 300 already. Then it exploded to 400, $40. Went all the way to 550, and we were here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months. We were 7 months in between $50 and $40, 400, 400 and 500. Then came 2024. We absolutely exploded once again. Now it doesn't look as big, but mind you, coming out of a correction, look how big this looked. So yeah, it was pretty big, this breakout that we were coming from, which it wasn't any gains. It was just a recovery to all-time highs, but then it kept going. So it broke all-time highs right here around 340s, and then it kept going to 500. We stalled out for months. 2024 happened, and it absolutely broke out another 200% this year, last year actually. So it went from 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000, which, let's break it down, split adjusted, it broke out from 50 to 60 to 70 to 80 to 90 to 100, and it didn't stop. It kept going to 120, 130, 140. We peaked at 140 before we finally got a stall out of a whole year, which was this base. In between the 140s, 150s, as low as to like the $90, 80, but really the 90s. Let's say 90s, because it fell to $90 twice. We had it in August 2024, and then like a whole year later, almost April of 2025. So this was finally Nvidia cooling down. Then coming out of April lows of the $80, it absolutely skyrocketed once again, blasting through all-time highs of 150s all the way to 212. So when did I call no mas? Was around here, June 2024. What was it? Back here. I timed the top pretty well. It kept going a little bit, right? This was when I sold out. So I sold out at the exact top. What would be the exact top for a few months, then it broke it, give or take. So Nvidia has gone crazy, to say the least, right? Sitting at $200. Honestly, what does it look like to get to 300 in 2026? Probably another explosive candle, right? Around 220s, 230s, a little pullback, probably a few months of chop, like 2-3 months of a chop. But honestly, Nvidia has a lot of things going for them. If they get an announcement that they could just even sell a fraction back to China, honestly, you're going to see, mind you, there's not any gaps on the monthly, but you're going to see a boner candle just like these, probably to like 250, honestly. This Nvidia could go to 250 off another boner candle. Then it could stall out around there, probably make a drop to the 200s, and then recover itself, stall, break out again to 300, kind of similar to what it did here. just for 2025, the 2 months left of 25 and 2026. So what it did around here, 2024, a little bit of 25, then break out. It could do it here. Just I imagine another boner candle somewhere in here, you know, when that news comes out, or they just get a phenomenal earnings saying that news, right? So Nvidia is just phenomenal. Let's go down to the weekly. Hopefully this loads quick. So this is where we're sitting at on the weekly. You could kind of see a little bit more open. This was the stall out of all these months. These were the two lows of 90 that we made. The April lows, we broke out, blasted to like 212. But let's look at the daily now. Let's look at some short-term levels to see where we could think it could go for what's left of 2025. So realistically, 160. If this ever gets back down to 165, 160s, it's gonna get bought up so fast. This just 2 days ago, it fell to 178, and it didn't cross my mind, honestly. But damn, it's just the only reason I say this because look at it now. 2 days later, bro, this got back to 200. This went from 178 to 200 in 2 days. Pretty insane. This was a wild gap up. So Nvidia was crazy. Support level, the biggest support you're gonna find on Nvidia currently is this 160 level. If it somehow miraculously, however you say that word, gets to like 152, 150, they might gun a little under, you know, just get that 149.99, 148. Bro, it's gonna be a steal. You'll have 100%, a quick 50% in it in less than a year. Nvidia's dominant. And right now it's at a 4.7 trillion market cap. But if it gets to like 165 or 150, 155, anywhere from 150s, 160s, it's a buy. Because just give it 12 months and it's going to be up there in the 250s again, 200s again. It's too dominant. Their revenues are insane. There's nothing that could stop this. And that's really all there is to it. If you're able to buy at previous all-time highs back then, a few months back at the 150s, or the support lows of these recent highs of like 165, oh man, it's going to be a generational steal. Yeah, even at a 4 trillion market cap. Because, you know, with size. Honestly, this isn't going to be a 10-bagger. This is not one that you're going to put in a little bit amount of money and get rich. This is for the big boys already. You got to go in with like 50K, 100K, get a nice little 40, 50% on that if you can with the big dog, Nvidia. You know what I mean? So that's really all there is to it. I'm going to have a face cam by next video, guys. Please leave a subscribe. It really helps me out. Leave a like. It really helps me out. This is content of all our favorite tech stocks. If you guys want me to cover Oracle, I'll cover Oracle. If you guys want me to cover Meta, Tesla, which are the ones I'm in, which I'm going to be covering a lot, I will. If you want me to keep covering Nvidia, how I used to do a whole year ago, where if you go look at my whole feed, it was just Nvidia videos. I'll do more Nvidia. So you guys just let me know what stock to look into, and I'll do it. So peace out, guys.